Oh, hey, got a fun show for you today. We're going to be taking Mick Gordon, finishing move, compare and contrast, and see who you think comes out on top. We're going to start off looking at some finishing move, Unchained Predator from the first trailer. Pause, go back, discuss what we hear. So right out, you know it's going to be a strong opening. The most iconic riff. Love it. So we come to this part, we got to talk about this one, right? Now, when I bring up stuff like this, I want to react per se. It's not just a smile and nod, it's talk about it. We have some riffage, we have very powerful. This has the E1, M1 iconic factor to it as far as remembering it. There's also a cello looking thing right here. This is an instrument called a talharpa, if I said that correctly. So we're seeing some new instruments, not just typical guitar and drum sort of thing. High energy, high riffage, but how will it compare to the Mick, Gordon, Andrew, and David we have? Now, they do some really cool stuff in their music, and we'll be getting to that here in just a second. I like this track. I think people think it's iconic, and I really picture this one being one that gets stuck in people's head. But we have to, like I said, compare to The Only Thing They Fear Is You. It's a classic, too. Let's take a listen to the main riff and think about this one. The build-up. All right. We hear this, and we know, like, this is the one that Mick released before anything else. Before it even had the name The Only Thing That Fears You. I did a video on it on the channel, and it was just something that hits so hard. It's reminiscent of Doom 2016 while still having eternal vibes. With the chainsaw that he's used in Cult of Space, I believe electric toothbrush, it was a lawnmower for this one, which is absolutely insane. And you can't deny the power of this track, not just musicality that's so good, but using the odd instruments and really pulling it together. I think that's the biggest thing that people have. They're like, well, finishing move, they're not going to use lawnmowers, electric toothbrushes like David did, chainsaws, those sort of things. I think we're going to be wrong on that regard, maybe a little bit. Mick even used a congling, which is made out of bone, actual bone when I asked him, not wood. So we know those are both good. We know finishing move has some metal in them. But I'm curious to see what we can bring out with Infernal Chasm. Now, this was released a little bit, how long ago? Maybe a week ago. And I'm responsible for like 56,000 of the 60,000 views. And there's a section of the song that really stands out to people. And I want to show you, like, the whole thing's awesome. It starts off powerfully. Nice little build up, right? Woo! That's too good. This part's nice. I'm losing my headphones. All right, so this is cool. We have a nice driving riff that's like 1, 2, 3, 4 punch you just like this. You know, I'm gonna change myself right here. There we go, like that. And the part that really sticks out to people is 35 seconds in. I want you to pay attention to the transition here, okay? High dissonance. This shape on the guitar right here. I'm just gonna. So we take a listen to that part. What makes that so special is that you go from this driving, powerful riff, and then they slow it down almost like a halftime feel. So you go from like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 to a 1 da 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 da. And just that change from the fast driving riff to the slow down makes you that is what's so good about this sonic stuff, is that you don't just, if you have something that goes 90 miles an hour the whole time and you're just going and going, it gets old after a while, you begin to run out of steam. And then if you slow it down, you hear what you did there? When I slowed down, you paid attention more. But it's also got this like octavey sounding thing. I'm going to show you one more time because this is going to be an iconic track too. I have no doubt in my mind. This part. Da-na, that part right there. Oh. It's a little bit dissonant, a little bit jarring, but not. It sounds so, so good. What's the next one we gotta look at? We gotta compare to Mick. Now, interesting too here, I'm talking about riffs and those sort of things. Mick says something here in this Kiwi Talks interview that's really, really interesting. I want you to pay close attention. If you are washing your dishes like someone was whenever I mentioned this in the past video, they perked up their ears. Listen to what Mick has to say and see if you agree.
And I have this stupid guitar thing in my brain where I think a riff is going to be strong enough to sell a song. But it rarely is. Unless you have Smoke on the Water or something like that, your riff's not going to sell the song. You know, an average listener needs a melody, absolutely needs a melody.
So what Mick is saying here is that riffs aren't enough to sell the song. You need a melody like a synthesizer to get stuck in the average listener's head. I would beg to differ here because E1M1 Doom at Doom's Gate, that's just a riff. It is so iconic. I can understand what he's going for there, but I think there is more to be said because these riffs that Finishing Move are bringing out, and we'll look at some of their odd instruments here in just a minute. It's definitely noteworthy to think about. Now, these next two are some of my favorite ones in this entire video, not even kidding. Listen to how epic this shows with the Titan.
Yet.
Titan's rising, power. See, you hear that power from the synth coming up in behind, not just the riff. The riff is building up, the Titan is roaring coming out of the ground. It shows power and almost like a majestic, epic, grandiose feeling. When I first heard that in the dev direct, I was like, oh my goodness, that is awesome. And that is definitely going to be one I'm looking forward to. Now, pay really close attention to this riff here. We get it really loud for a second, and then when Hugo's talking, it gets quieter under the music bed, or as the music bed, as it should. So pay real close attention. It's driving and strong.
And the soundtrack to your epic adventures will be composed by the award-winning team at Finishing Move, providing you with a metal soundscape that's loaded with guitars, medieval vibes, and pure adrenaline. You'll feel like you're expanding the legend of the Slayer with every mission you complete.
So you get the powerful da-na-na, like the thrashy riffs, and then just a sound of dissonance and chaos. I think that has a lot of potential for a powerful driving riff for the Iron Tank versus the fighter jet, as Hugo has placed it. We got some more Mick stuff we'll check out too. Now this unboxing video has a strong track under Hugo and Marty's voiceover, but it gets a little bit heavy here at the end, and we're going to take a little peek and see what we have here. It's something interesting that I'm noticing about Finishing Move. The more we get it, I'm noticing a shift in the community. We'll talk about that. So we're just going to play a second of it. I want you to hear the type of rhythm that we have going on, and I will tell you more about it as well.
Good. Yep.
Pay attention there. It's a gallop. Dun 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 dun. It's a gallop, so it's very medieval sounding. It's got those vibes, and a lot of times what you find the vibes is like a Phrygian mode or scale that has the Egyptian sound, but this is a gallop, almost just like you're marching into battle, like that. And a lot of metal uses it. Metallica is a huge fiend for it. So it's interesting to see these different musical ideas that they're bringing into it. What are we going to go for Mick next? Now, we know it's not all just about the metal. It's about the ambience, however you want to say it. Mick did something that oh man. It's the Dr. Samuel Hayden track, and I just want to show you one particular part that really stands out. Okay, you hear that? Pay close attention. There's a lot of things going on in this track right here that really makes it stand out. You have the low, really low, foreboding sound, leaving that little bass line in, but you also hear the higher pitch, leaving a creepy sound, and then the that just gives you a sense of panic and dread. Like, why is this alarm going off? Why is this creepiness bass line low? And he crafted that so beautifully to put that together, because it's not just one track, one thing that he's doing. He meshes this whole picture together, and I love it for that. It's panic. The wave in the background. Glitchy sounds coming in. This is so underrated. This is so underrated by Mick. And he does so many other things too. He's gotten, Hellwalker is the most fantastic menu theme ever. And there's just little things that Mick did in these tracks that you don't realize till you actually look at them. Like all these pieces, they all come together to make this one focal point. They all come together for a certain meaning and sound. So this one I'm going to play next. It's a real quick blink and you miss it if you could blink with your ears, but look at the feel. I want you to think about what emotions you get from when you listen to this and you watch the track.
And if you want to turn it off, you can turn it off.
Ooh. So that one's nice because it's like, it's a very slow and it syncs up with the melee, dun, very forward, punching, marching forward. See how we're feeling these same kind of themes with this medieval? Everything is about marching forward like a tank. And they're delivering on that feel because that's the vibe that I'm pulling from that. Now, of course, we want to go back to another vibe that they have. Just check this one out.
What the?
Oh, hi. You caught me playing my MurderBox.
Hey, I'm...
Oh, hi, you caught me playing my MurderBox. That thing was strange. It had so many odd looking contraptions about it. So we talk about, toothbrushes and all that. I think that Finishing Move, they have shown right there that they have the ability to make some crazy sounding things. Here's another interesting Finishing Move. Where's he going? Could this show up in Doom? Synthy bass line, and I'm curious to see if you think that meshes with the world of Doom. You got to pull it back to Mick here. You're going to recognize this theme. It's called Residual. It's cut from Doom 2016, and it's got something. I'm not going to spoil it. I want you to see if you can pick out what I'm going for. What vibe are you getting from this? Ominous, foreboding, terror, haunting, Urdak music that was supposed to be in 2016 but was cut? Yes! Ooh, so we know that id knew what they were doing when it came to the makers as far as multiplayer, the world level of Empyrean, maker statues in Argent Breach, but we see here he's got a very scary tone here, and it levels out into calm. This is another example of Mick shining in just making a track that makes you feel weird inside, a little tingly inside, and he did so well with it. Of course, we got to look at this here. We're talking about, oh, finishing move, are they just guitars? What's going on here? What are these guys about? No. Lazarus Labby, Cat. That's real synthy. That is Doomy right there, and this is made back in 2024 February, it says. So he's definitely got some Doom sensibilities there, while still, standing on his own self there. Now, of course, we got to take it back to Mick again. My favorite track ever. This has a purpose. There's a reason it was done this way, and I'm going to explain that to you, okay? So, if you notice the tracks we've been sampling from Mick, they're mostly very slower beat. If you were to keep the beat with them, like this track, watch me keep the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Watch the head bob, right? Compare and contrast with something like, we'll go back to Unchained Predator. Like this over and over, right? It's so much more faster. And the reason Mick didn't want to do that, he actually had a track called 264 BPM, but they cut that out. But, oh, this is so heavy and nice. They cut that out because it was too fast and it did not mesh well. Players were just like, or would be like that, because Mick meshed the sounds in its own sonic area and the music is here, so they're not fighting over the same frequencies and areas. They each occupy their own space in the sonic world and in your ears. And so that's why Doom Eternal is more slow or groovier to fit with the game, because you're moving fast in Eternal. The music is moving fast. That's going to just be an information overload. So in this game, Doom the Dark Ages, whenever we're pairing and learning the systems, maybe we'll have a slower beat to a slower rhythm, so that way the player can focus on the parries and learning the rhythm and the motion. And then maybe later on in the game, it'll pick up pace as we get further, as we get more intense and into the depths of Doom the Dark Ages. So interesting how this stuff is when you really look at it. Now, there is another thing I have to show you, a very special moment. Mixed music can be turned into something different. Meathook on an acoustic guitar, and 3 of me there, just shows that it can be heavy and it can be gnarly and nasty, but there is still power behind it at an acoustic level. It's about the composition. It's about what you do with your notes and your songs and the Easter eggs you hide behind them. It's about the heart of it, right? It's interesting, like Easter eggs Mick put into his music, as far as like the pentagrams and all the crazy crap he did. But we have to look at who do you think is the king? Is it Mick, Gordon, Andrew, David? Is it finishing move? I think they're good at their own respective ways. Finishing move's not trying to be Mick Gordon. Mick Gordon's not trying to be finishing move. And they all are bringing something special in their own style. Doom the Dark Ages is more medieval, marching forward like a tank. You need the fast music and the power riffage that calls back to the classics. Classic Doom had a lot of riffage. Finishing move has a lot of riffage. It's all power behind it, and it all has a perfect goal in itself. As the only thing they fear is you, is the only one they love is you. You can make mixed music into a love song toward Daisy. You can probably do the same thing for a finishing move. I don't know. I think there's a lot to I've not seen this in years. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the music and the soundtrack of Doom and what it means. I'm so glad we get to talk about it on the show today. But there's a whole discussion I had on the OST of Doom the Dark Ages of what we need to be looking for. So click the video on your screen here and subscribe if you want more Dark Ages and related content. I'm Austin signing off. Thank you for watching the show today, and I'll see you in the next one.